Okay, Syria, let's start with Syria.
Okay.
The Russians have today once again complained that the opposition is not respecting the cessation of hostilities, and that you guys, meaning the Americans, and your partners are not doing enough to, one, stop them from firing, and two, to not doing enough to get the guys that you support to get away from Nusra, or
Yep.
what was Nusra. So I'm just curious how you respond to that.
In response to your question on who's responsible and some of the comments we've seen out of Russia, I and we are not going to be in the habit of saying this many, this many. We've seen violations by both sides. I'm not going to give attach a number to each side, but we've seen violations by both sides. And look, we've always been clear, just as we have said that Russia's responsibility is to exert influence or put pressure, however you want to put it, on the regime to abide by the cessation of hostilities. It is incumbent on us to persuade, convince the moderate opposition to also abide by the cessation of hostilities, and ultimately, that's a decision they're going to have to make. So, you know, we're continuing to monitor this very closely. We're continuing our outreach to the Syrian moderate opposition. That's been ongoing, trying to explain the arrangement to them, answer their questions. And again, we've seen, as I said, sporadic reports of violence, but in large part, we think it's holding.
Okay, so
Yep.
Yesterday, the senior administration official said that only Nusra and ISIS were fair game for targeting and strikes and so on. What about the other 21 groups that said they will not abide by the ceasefire? Are they also fair game? Are they also will they be targeted by either the JIG or by
Sure.
the Syrian?
Right now,
regime?
it's Nusra and ISIS, and thank you because I was a little bit fuzzy on that yesterday. So actually, just let me finish. So I said, somebody asked me, I can't remember who yesterday, is it just Nusra who can be targeted by joint U.S. or coordinated U.S. and Russia strikes? I said I thought it was just Nusra. That was incorrect. It's Nusra and ISIL targets. So just for the record,
Nusra and
wherever the
ISIS,
record
but
is.
you also have 21 other groups that they said they don't recognize the Hudna. You know,
Who said this? I'm sorry,
cessation.
you're quoting.
21 groups. 21 groups. They issued a statement. There are 21 opposition groups that they said they will not abide by the. You know, there are tens, dozens of groups. So they said they will not abide by the ceasefire or Hudna in Arabic. They will continue to strike against the regime. They will continue in their fight to bring, you know, whatever Islamic State into Syria. What about these groups? Are they to be targeted by the regime? That is fine if they do. Is it fine? Are we likely to see in 7 days, or when your joint operations begin, are we likely to see those groups are being targeted? And who is the moderate opposition that you keep alluding to?
So, to answer your questions as to the best of my ability, right now the focus is on getting the moderate opposition, and you know who the designated moderate opposition is. We talked about it before, to abide by this cessation of hostilities. Ultimately, this is self-selection, and we've talked about this before as well. You know, if the regime or the certain groups within the moderate opposition don't comply with this cessation of hostilities, then they've identified themselves as not a part of it. We're not there yet. What the focus is on right now is getting this sustained period to 7 days, and then at that point, setting up the JIC, the Joint Implementation Center, and then coordinating. And this will be done, I understand, pretty quickly. We talked about this yesterday, but I got a little bit more clarity on this. It's not going to be a matter of days or weeks. They're going to begin this very quickly, realizing the urgency of the situation. But once those coordinated strikes begin, then the regime will have to abide by its obligation to not fly in that designated area. Now, you talked about this large group of opposition who we said the other day we've not seen any opposition party say it would not abide by this agreement. I think there's a lot of rhetoric out there right now. I can tell you that our special envoy, Michael Ratney, who works very closely with the moderate Syrian opposition, is in touch with them and working very closely with them to explain the details of this and to convince them to support it. We understand that's our responsibility in this, just as we call on Russia to be to exert its influence on the regime. Likewise, within the ISSG, we call on Turkey, we call on Saudi Arabia, other members of the ISSG to exert what influence they have on the various parties on the ground. It is, in a sense, incumbent on the stakeholders. This whole thing rests on our ability to exert that kind of influence on the various players on the ground. But we believe that all sides here recognize that this is, as imperfect as it is, an opportunity to get us to the next level.